Wild Spidey Moments Part 19. Comment: an interesting Spidey fact that you think others may not know. The 2007 issue of The Amazing Spider-Man shows us a darker side to the wall crawler. One he keeps well under wraps, that is until someone he loves gets seriously hurt. Then it's all bets off. This takes place during the events of Civil War, which you may be familiar with from the movies. Things went very differently in the comics though. Similar to the movies, a lot of heroes were pitted against each other and had their identities revealed to the world, which put them and their loved ones in danger. As we already know from part 11 of my series, Spider-Man is one of those heroes whose real name and face is leaked to everyone. Kingpin, being the businessman he is, takes advantage of this situation and hires an assassin to take out Peter Parker. Thanks to his Spidey sense, Peter and MJ manage to evade the bullet. But sadly, Aunt May was not so fortunate. Peter, in his anger and shock, runs outside and hurls a car at the shooter before swinging off to take May to the hospital. He feels great sorrow and guilt for not protecting his aunt. He blames himself for so much as usual. He can't even be there for her at the hospital. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is and would call the police. Pete decides to do the only thing he can. He goes back to the scene of the crime to investigate. Breaking into the shooter's den, he ropes a cop up in one wrist flick and continues upstairs. A shiny metallic object catches his eye, leading him to his next location, a warehouse where illicit goods are usually smuggled and sold. He crashes inside the building. Not even caring about a mask or costume, he is done making jokes, done pulling punches, done taking threats. No one harms his family and gets away with it. No one, as May's condition worsens. Pete finally gets the information he needs after beating goons to a pulp. He knows what he needs to do. He is out for blood. There is one last thing he needs though, something he hid away a long time ago. It was put away out of shame and fear. It sent the wrong message to the people of New York. But that night he needed that very message to be heard loud and clear. He embraced the darkness and emerged, cloaked in midnight and thirsty for vengeance. After some quick beatings through a couple of useless suspects, he finds the shooter. As they make eye contact, bullets fly through the train station. Spidey makes quick work of him, breaking his arm and daring him to put up the other so he can break that one too. He wants to do more than hurt him, wants to make him truly pay for what he has done. Before he can find out who hired the gunman, someone intervenes. Another assassin, hired to keep Spidey off the higher-ups trail. Of course, this secondary gunman does not get far and before he knows what's happening, Pete already has the information he needs. It was Fisk all this time. He orchestrated the attack from prison. Before he leaves the second criminal, he makes sure to send a message down the food chain of organized crime. Though flesh-eating rats in the sewers and gun-toting men in the streets may be frightening, nothing is worse than a spider on the hunt. That night was very important. Both men had to be sure to dress the part. It was time to find out who the real king of New York was. Fisk began with his usual arrogant speech, but Spidey wasn't having any of it. There was nothing Kingpin could do. Pete's kicks and punches were so fast. He repeatedly beat on Fisk till he was bloody and on his knees, never speaking a word until he was begged to. He reminded Fisk what his costume meant. It was a promise to keep New York safe and to never cross the line. That's when he took the costume off. Spider-Man was not there to kill Wilson. Peter Parker was. Kingpin was thrown around like a ragdoll, clothes ripped and blood everywhere. The fellow prisoners could barely watch as Peter relentlessly slapped the giant around. Then it came, the moment everyone was anticipating. Pete had Fisk right where he wanted him. He put his wrist right up to his gaping mouth. He said, "It would take 3 seconds for my web fluid to fill your respiratory system and suffocate you to death. I will kill you, but not today. When my aunt breathes her last breath, I will be back to count down yours."